I went to go see the outside of the apartment Vincent van Gogh lived at in Paris, and for my next trip outside of Paris, I went to Auvers-sur-Oise, where Vincent and his brother Theo are buried. That's me looking somber. It's amazing how someone can die so long ago and you still feel such big feelings. Feelings for someone you've never met and never will meet, but who has touched your life in such an impactful way. Vincent himself said maybe God made him a painter for people who weren't born yet, and that maybe in 100 years' time people would see his art and it would make them happy.
I just went to Vincent's grave, and now I am walking to, I think this is where he painted. I'm in Auvers-sur-Oise. It's kind of a gloomy day, but it sort of feels right to be visiting Van Gogh on a day like today. I am now on my way to l'Église de Notre-Dame, which is the church that Van Gogh painted. Something I didn't know prior to this trip was that Van Gogh's funeral service was supposed to be at this church, but they denied him because he had committed suicide and also because he was a Protestant. And they even didn't provide the transportation to get his casket up to the cemetery, so another nearby church had to help out. Van Gogh's brother Theo had already printed the invitations to the service with the name of this church on it, and so he had to personally scratch out the name of the church and handwrite where the service was going to be. It's sort of ironic that this place that was so, in many ways, cruel to Van Gogh when he lived here is now very much all about how he lived here, and people make their living based off of the fact that he lived here. There's a lot of tourism around the fact that he lived here. There's the Park of Van Gogh. There is the Street of Van Gogh, statues of him, a trail where you can follow in his footsteps. Now this whole place celebrates his legacy.
I've always loved Vincent van Gogh, but over the last 2 years I've been doing a deep dive on his life and learning as much as I can about him, reading the letters he exchanged with his brother Theo, and also with his friend Emile Bernard, reading biographies on him, and watching films like Lust for Life, Vincent and Theo, Loving Vincent, and At Eternity's Gate, all movies about the artist.
I'm in the corner of the restaurant that Van Gogh would always sit at. Cheers to Van Gogh.
Van Gogh lived upstairs from this restaurant at the end of his life, and his funeral service was held in this very room. This is the town hall Van Gogh painted, and a local museum. Zonder is where Van Gogh is from, in the Netherlands. I didn't get to go to the Chateau de Auvers because it was fully booked, but the outside property was very nice.
Now I'm at the house of Dr. Gachet, who treated Van Gogh at the end of his life, and it's a really beautiful property that I'm currently walking around.
Vincent painted his famous portrait of Dr. Gachet right here. And Vincent's brother Theo and Theo's wife Johanna, who played a very key role in preserving Vincent's memory, all gathered around that table. Lots of the Impressionist artists came to visit this house. It's rich with history.
Right now I'm in Dr. Gachet's house, and Vincent used to stand right where I'm standing with his back to the window, which apparently made his hair and his beard look even more crazy and more red and fiery than it already normally did. And this very room is where Vincent met Dr. Gachet for the first time. He waited for him at the table here, and there was all sorts of art on the walls here as reproduced in this room. No one is here. I think I'm the only person in this museum, which is crazy, but very cool. I don't think I've ever had a museum entirely to myself before. There's not even dozens here. It's really strange.
This room is where Vincent received his first assessment by Dr. Gachet. I stayed the night in Auvers-sur-Oise in a very charming Airbnb, and then it was back to Paris, where I got to see the Wes Anderson exhibition.